So thank God, 2022 is now totally over, kind of. The aftermath we do need to clear up. But today is going to be a financial and cryptocurrency rewind, which will be interesting. New setup for me, I have got a camera up there now. I have a new room, but you've not seen it yet. I will show you in due course. However, the fundamentals of this year has been bad. On the screen, let's have a little look at the embarrassing emoji. This is the bearish engulfing candle of Bitcoin. And the funniest thing is that this is down a good chunk. This is the first time we've ever had a bearish engulfing candle of this severity in the early candles. Not ideal. Secondly, review. Gold is doing much better than what Bitcoin has done. I know, short term it has. Remember, short-term price analysis, don't worry too much about it. But this is all about reflection in terms of what's happened over the course of 2022. If you're not yet subscribed, make sure you do. Follow me on socials, click the link below. And most importantly, I will do a little reflection at the end of this video in terms of me and what's going to change. Some good things are coming, especially if you're in learning crypto. Massive things are coming. Now, what's changed everywhere else? So let's just look at the S&P. S&P, quite a decent chunk. That wick to the downside is pretty meaty, but we are doing a little bit of a recovery, but not much. Not a great candle. We have had not many red candles, as you can probably imagine. We've got a big one, a very, very big one. Looking at the Nasdaq, let me just look at the futures version. Again, a bearish engulfing candle in the technology stocks, not great in terms of the course of the year. And finally, the DJI. As you can see, improved a little bit, but still not many red candles. So, interesting. What's happened elsewhere? Well, this has also happened. The base points reflection of this is pretty high versus what it has been over the course of the year. So yeah, quantitative easing, quantitative tightening, a little bit of an effect over the last few years, yes. Now, in the course of the bull cycle, the crypto market bullish sentiment, these problems were always going to happen at some point. We were just blind to it. Put it that way, in the obvious, we've seen what's happened with other things we will talk about in a minute, but when you are belt feeding money out, yes, it's looking pretty good if you're a bull, but you got to figure the consequences. We are now reaping those consequences, which is not great. And the final thing, let's look at the obvious, the dollar. The dollar strength has massively inflated in the course of this year, and that is due to all these tensions and all kinds of stuff that I will cover in more detail in a second. But we have zipped right the way back. We are back at these kind of previous levels. Maybe support, maybe not, who knows. Don't really like to do TA on this. However, fundamentals say that the dollar gained strength over the course of this year or last year. Anyways, let's start. Let's go through the whole year with what's happened. Interesting stuff. Not all of it's crypto. So if you are new around here, as I say, subscribe button. On Friday, I'm going to do my market predictions. Could be a lot of fun. First things that happened in February. Meta loses 232 billion market value after saying the quiet part out loud, essentially, right? Very, very interesting. This was in history, I still believe it still is today, the biggest stock value loss in the course of a 24-hour period. 26% it plummeted in one day. It still hasn't recovered. If you look at Meta price, not looking great. The obvious thing, the elephant in the room, Russia attack Ukraine. This happened on the 24th of February, and from there on, we always knew it was going to be a bad year for a lot of things, especially when we look at gas, supply and demand, and also banking. That leads me on to say that the EU had agreed to exclude key Russian banks from SWIFT, so the payment service, the SWIFT service, to enable efficient payments. This led to a knock-on effect for guess what? Oil, gas, energy. What's happened in the UK? Freezing. It's mental. It's really bad in terms of energy consumption, but I will come on to that later on in the year, as you can see. The next thing that happened, and the thing that caught people off guard a little bit, was we started doing the rate hikes. And what people were getting panicky about was there was 6 more ahead. There was 6 more. We had 7. and we've went to a really nice chunky number of, I think, 4.75%. So when you think of the severity of the speed of these interest rate hikes, yes, it grew massively. And this was the first time in a very, very long while since we've done it, since December 2018. And we are now at levels of inflation which have not been, levels of inflation that have not been seen for like decades, but ultimately so is the interest rates, which we will come on to in a bit. But there we go. For a lot of people, new territory. Cryptocurrency. Luna. Now, the algorithmic stable currency coin, UST, went kaboom. Bit of exploitation, you could probably argue. However, it happened and 60 billion was wiped off. This created a huge knock-on effect, which you will see in the next couple of transitions on the webpage of what happened. The first thing that happened was Celsius froze all accounts. This happened on the 13th of June. And from there on, it wasn't looking great. People's getting their accounts locked, and the massive surge in wallets that have been bought over the last few months has been absolutely mental, and it's all due to stuff like this, which we will come on to. If you want to get a ledger, there's a link in my link tree. Don't get it on eBay. Don't get it on weird websites. Get it off the main place, please. There's alternatives available, obviously. However, when lending platforms and safety and numbers kind of t-shirt and don't trust banks and all that kind of bollocks get eaten up in the market, it's not great, right? The next one that happened was Voyager. Voyager was an investment that I had in early 2020 when it got taken over, and it did really well. Only held it for a limited amount of time, but this got caught up in 3 Arrow Capital. Again, similar to Celsius, they had an element of, we better freeze our funds just in case, and then it all went tits up, right? And as I mentioned, 3AC, the 10 billion hedge fund that went totally wrong. Founders went completely everywhere. This is why Voyager, this is why Celsius, this is why a lot of cryptocurrencies have been affected massively due to what they had, and obviously the lending side of it. What we found out later on, there was a bit more, to this, which we will come on to in a minute, but ultimately not a great look for the market. And into the summer, when it was getting lovely, warm and toasty, so was the interest rate of the banking sector, but ultimately the inflation was still rising, right? Even though we had interest rate hikes, we were still rising. This was the highest of the year, which is kind of a good point. But is it going to carry on going down? We are still at 7.1%, I believe, or about 7%. It's still high, still very, very high, ultimately. But fundamentals are clear. This was going to happen, and I said it at the start of this video. We were always looking at how high is inflation going to go off the back of this money printer? And this is what happened. So as you can imagine, not great. This then led to this 7-month low as oil problems kind of happened, and this is why things got a bit tasty, certainly in the UK. This is in September. We had a lot of supply and demand issues across Europe, and obviously Britain goes into a big ease energy shock, and it was. Prices went whoop. It was big. I've got a smart meter, and it used to cost me £1.50 a day for this house. It's now about £6. And my lifestyle has only changed by one thing, putting the heating on. And it doesn't go on for long, but it is quite expensive. I am on a pay-as-you-go kind of meter, because all those fixed ones are ridiculously priced. I'd rather save money in the summer, but ultimately it's crazy. Anyways, moving on. So, in line to this supply and demand issue that was coming out of Russia, the UK decided to do something amazingly stupid. Basically, Kwasi Kwarteng was the Chancellor for the shortest period of time ever. It was like me getting the job and like completely ballsing it up and walking away. Yeah, that's what he did. He did like an emergency tax element, he did all kinds of like mini budgety things, and the pound plummeted. It literally went free fall. Not great. So this then led to a spiral of everything, and this is what happened. The bond rate went rum, the pound went that way, and then the following few days we had issues because guess what? The Bank of England had to intervene because pension funds would probably go under, and it probably would have done. Not long after that, we also had rumours and echoings of Credit Suisse going potentially bust. They were claiming it kind of in a similar way to Lehman Brothers. And this was creating even more panic in the UK and obviously around Europe, because if these go, oh my God. So it was getting a bit meaty at one point. And then again, the UK, as always, we like to cock things up. We like to do things in a great manner. Liz Truss decided to fuck off and leave us basically after 45 days in office. The shortest period in let's not even talk about it, it's terrible, isn't it? But hey ho, that's what happened. Then into some more interesting news, and this is still drama to this day. Elon Musk finally completed the $44 billion takeover to buy Twitter. Has he improved it? Probably not, no. Not really. Seems a bit interested. Yes, he's cut a lot of staff. Yes, he's done a lot of things to probably make it a little bit better in that sense in terms of revenue, but still a lot of things that need work on, in my opinion. However, it's still quite funny to watch. The next thing, and the most obvious thing, you probably know what I'm going to talk about here. This happened. So, November 8th was the bank run, essentially. Look at him there. He looks very different now, doesn't he? But you can imagine what's happened, right? The big fundamental element was the bank run. A lot of fear and FUD was happening. A lot of people would talk about it. A lot of big YouTubers at the time were talking about it. And ultimately what happened was they were like, oh, this isn't looking great. They're probably illiquid. And then obviously people panic and people take their money out. It's not great. And then we found out that the worst went with their pants off and it went wrong. Now, then this happened. BlockFi, yes, I know, went under because they were also in issues with them, with the liquidity side of it. We've also had issues with Gemini, with their Earn platform, because they were also doing money with FTX. Long and short story of it, FTX were using capital funds that were obviously within the exchange to buy their own stuff, to do their own things with. They were using customer funds. Not great. And this is what has led to the most obvious thing that finally happened. It did take a couple of weeks longer than a lot of people expected. Yeah, he's finally been arrested. He got arrested in the Bahamas. He got taken over to the US for extradition. And now he is on license bail, whatever it's called, home arrest, etc. until this plays out. I think he's on... I can't remember how many charges. I think there's 3 off the top of my head, but there could be more for obviously financial fraud, for all kinds of negligence within finance and all kinds of stuff. But I think he's actually been charged by the SEC as well as the FBI. It's not looking great. So we're expecting him to be in prison for a very, very long time. So that's it. That is the cryptocurrency / financial rewind of 2022. As I say, on Friday, I will be doing my predictions for the course of the year in terms of my outlook of what I think could be happening. Obviously, I'm not going to try and plot out news articles like this, but you get the picture. But finally, let's talk about what's going to happen for me in 2023. So my aim for 2023 is to make better videos, is to still do the Monday and the Friday routine, but maybe some stock market analysis and some stock market dividend stuff on the Wednesday. But I will be looking to do more live streams as well for certain big events, because I do enjoy doing it and I've got a much better setup now. So yes, I will be doing more content. I will also be doing a lot more on Twitter. Now, I've removed my Facebook and Instagram for my brand, and I'm going to be doing more tweets. I'm going to be doing more analysis, but I've also turned on, as you can probably see, the notifications on the left hand side there, so I can see what people are asking me. Now, I've been very, I'd say maintaining my social media kind of social element, because I was a bit fed up and I was probably burnt out and a bit ratty and a bit grumpy. But I want to start to reply to more people, engage with more people and engage in more accounts. I am not going to be causing controversy this year. That's the plan. I'm not going to be a dick. Try not to be anyways, but hey ho, it is what it is. However, more content is coming with Learning Crypto. One, the Learning Crypto YouTube channel will have a lot more videos going on from myself and from Gaz. We're also going to be doing a podcast, which will be interesting. So my Market Mobster podcast has been rebranded into Learning Crypto. Myself, Gaz, and one of the mobsters on there. So there'll be 3 of us on each one every fortnight. And we're also building an academy website, which will be written content, guides, tutorials, free to use. And it'll be just there. You can be able to search for it, find it on Google and all kinds of good stuff. So it'll be a massive resource for everyone. I am really doubling down on education in this bear market now. New courses are also coming. 1st of February, new courses. Wink, 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 wink. And finally, Patreon. My members on my Discord and my Patreon, the community of this channel, absolute mad love, because you have been awesome. We've got a really good community going on. Now, I'm not saying this to kind of promote it, but I'm just saying if you want to feel a part of something, it's a very, very low cost, and you can see it's all there, fully transparent, how many people in which one. And we are doing a little portfolio. I need to update that. We've got some buy orders in. I'm waiting for some to hit. We're going to be doing more project deep dives certainly this year, looking at better content for journaling, all kinds of stuff regarding what I do and the live streams that will happen. It's an interesting proposition for the financial market this year, and hopefully I can help some people. So there we go. If you're new around here, feel free to check out the links, and if you want help, let me know. But a lot of things are looking interesting. Like, look at that chart, for example. That is just Bitcoin alone. It's pretty crazy, and that's the daily chart. It's gonna get fun though. The lower we go, the more bullish I'll get. That's all I'm gonna say.